Good evening and welcome to the school committee meeting of Monday, March 13th. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have nothing under audience. Oops, I'm skipping. We'll go on to the acceptance of the minutes for the meeting of February 27th.
Motion to accept the minutes from February 27, 2023.
Second that motion.
All those in favor? Aye, with Emily abstaining. Nothing under audience. We'll move on to reports. We have monthly reports for February for the administrators, Dr. Harrison, Ms. Shipper, Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Shifley, Mrs. Sheehan. Guidance, Ms. Black, nurse, Ms. Pang, and pupil personnel services, Dr. Maniglia.
Four motions to approve the monthly reports for February.
4 seconds.
All those in favor? That's a vote. Under the school newsletters, we now have those emailed to us, so we don't have any here in our hands. We have newsletters for Eston, Jefferson, Memorial Park, Rogers Middle School, and the high school. Anything to add? Nope, okay. They are always fun and enriching to see what the kids are doing inside of the schools, so I personally enjoy getting them. So thank you to all of those that put them together for us. We'll go on to personnel. Dr. Cron, do you have anything to add?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Moving to old business with the Phelps Elementary School update. Emily, welcome back. Do you want to take that, or would you like Dr. Cron to have it?
If you have an update, that would be lovely.
I really have nothing to
Okay.
add since the last meeting.
Great.
Yeah, just that the punch list was getting shorter, and things are moving along. I know they're doing some work now on the softball field,
Right,
which is connected
correct.
to the Phelps.
They're
so-
getting that now before the season
Yeah.
starts.
And we're still waiting for the demolition of Memorial Park to begin. So that's something I know everyone's sort of asking about and waiting. I think they're still doing abatements and making sure that they get all the asbestos out and things like that.
So when we have a date for that, we'll certainly put it out there.
We will share that as soon as we
I'm
get
sure it's a big
one.
day that people want to watch, but we don't have a date yet.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay. We'll move on to completed fundraisers. We have from the Rockland High School Student Government Council, the winter formal was on February 17th. They raised $702.85. They also did a Do You Want to Build a Snowman in February. They raised $53. And they sold lollipops between February 6th and the 10th, and they raised $102. So good job for them for earning some money for the year. We'll go on to request for fundraisers in new business. We have Memorial Park PAC doing their gold coin fundraising. They'll do that for this month of March 2023.
Motion to approve the Memorial Park fundraiser.
Second the motion.
All those in favor? Jamie and I have firsthand times
coins
with
is
the
so
gold
fun.
coins.
Rainbows, cutting out gold coin
Right.
construction paper. Oh, good times.
Going down the
Good
halls
luck,
with
pack
them.
parents.
Right. Taped to your arm, trying to put them on all of the cauldrons. We'll move on to request for approval of graduation procedure in the parent pack for class of 2022. Dr. Cron?
This has not changed since 1940-something. When I came in 2012, I was told very quietly and carefully, do not change anything with graduation. So it's still the same. But this is a pretty good packet that Dr. Harrison puts together for families so that they know what's coming. And we really do want to remind our seniors to take care of business, between now and the end of the year. And try to be careful when someone comes up with a really good idea for a prank or something like that. Think twice about it. Sometimes what seems like a great idea in the moment may not work out so well. So just, take care of business for your families and for yourself so you can enjoy graduation.
They've been waiting a long time to see you walk.
That's right.
They want to, right?
Very
Anything
much.
else? Any questions, thoughts, comments?
I guess for the folks that are watching, we did approve the graduation date in a prior meeting. So just a reminder, it is Friday, June 2nd.
Thank you. Okay. So we'll take a vote for,
Sure.
to approve it?
Motion to approve the graduation procedures and parent packet for the class of 2023.
Second that motion?
All those in favor? That's 5 of us, 5 ladies. Moving on to the policy updates, first reading. Dr. Cron?
So each of you should have a paper that looks like this in front of you. And this is just a guide. If you look in your packets, there's quite a substantial number of pages that goes through all the policies and the changes and the updates and so on and so forth. This is sort of a crib notes version. So this is the first reading and you'll have 2 weeks. So if you come up with any questions between now and our next meeting, please reach out and I'll do my best to answer or find the answer for you. And then we'll do the final approval. But I'll just sort of walk through these 7 areas just briefly tonight. First of all, in the first section, there's some updates to the dress, discipline, and discrimination policies because of some changes to the law, and specifically having to do with hairstyles, hair texture, hair length, protective hairstyles that may historically be associated with race. So that's one of the policy changes, and an update to the student discipline policy that emphasizes alternative disciplinary measures. So the Department of Education in the state is asking schools, once again, they're putting a press on, when you're going to suspend a student, please make sure that you're considering restorative justice practices, that you're thinking about ways to keep this kid involved, that you're keeping their education fluid, and so on and so forth. It's an area that I feel very confident in Dr. Harrison and in the high school. It's something that I paid a lot of attention to when I was the principal, and I know that Mr. Sangster before me also did that. We have Saturday school. We have an alternative program in the high school that's substantial, and I do know that Mr. Damon as the dean and Ms. Paulding and Dr. Harrison work with students one-on-one, and the kids who have the most issues, those are our people. We work hard with them. And so I want you to feel confident that if we're suspending a student, we've done it thoughtfully and responsibly. But we do want kids to be safe and have rules and consequences, but at the same time, that is happening, that the state is putting pressure on schools to make sure that their disciplinary policies are up to date and not overly punitive. The next section of updates is in the finance area, and there's been some increased audit scrutiny brought on by some of the federal funds that have been coming to schools over the past few years. So it's coming up particularly around procurement and changing certain names. So instead of Director of Business and Finance, they're now calling it School Business Officials. So a lot of the changes are just the words that we're using. The next section, policy EEAA, walkers and riders. Just, again, an emphasis from the Department of Ed and the state to try to encourage schools to transport as many students as possible. And in Rockland, I think we've made a commitment to busing beyond the state minimums, and I think we've always felt that that was our responsibility. And we know that it's a budgetary, we probably, what's our bottom line on busing?
Approximately $1 million.
About $1 million, and we take in approximately
80,000.
about 80,000 in fees. So people who pay fees, we appreciate it, but the district is paying for busing, and we do it because we think it's important. Along the lines of, we keep our fees low for athletics, we keep our fees low for student activities because we want our kids doing these things. So thank you to the committee and to the town for supporting those policies and procedures, because I think it's really good stuff. Next, policy EEAEB, drug and alcohol testing for bus drivers. So the Rockland Public Schools will provide testing for the drivers that work for us directly, and First Student will provide testing for their employees. The next policy area is support staff vacations and holidays, and it's again just bringing our policies up to date and making sure that we're compensating them appropriately. The next policy area is graduation requirements. We made some changes to graduation requirements last year, and so this updates our policy. And finally, the empowered digital use reflects a policy that we approved, and it just brings us again in line with what we've already approved and with what is being required by the state. So, read them through. When I read them, if I'm a school committee member, I'm going, wow, I'm responsible for all of this. It's a lot. That's how policy manuals read. That's how they feel. So try not to be overwhelmed by it. But if you have questions, please, don't hesitate to ask. Okay?
Does anyone have any questions now? No. Ladies, you? No? They're all nodding no. Okay. Then we will keep moving from there because this is a first reading. So we'll have it on the agenda for the second reading next week. Okay? Next, we have school choice for approval.
I would recommend to the committee that you vote to be a school choice district again next year.
Can you explain a little bit of the benefits that Rockland gets for having school choice?
Sure. Financially, we're currently looking at 69 students enrolled in the district in school choice, and that brings us approximately
What, $400,000 a year?
just about 400,000.
And I know that each school gets to sort of control their own numbers as far as what we're taking in for school choice, but now that we'll have Phelps, so it's sort of giving us less space to take in students. How do we think that will change? How many we take?
I don't know that we do have sort of, when you look at the 3 schools and then you look at Phelps, it feels like we've reduced the number of classrooms by a little bit, which we have, but I think the classrooms are larger. And our class sizes have always been quite low. Our average class size at the elementary is around 17 or 18, and I know in many districts it's as high as 25.
Right.
So I still feel pretty good about our class sizes and the number of support personnel that we have in classrooms. So, for example, kindergarten classrooms, if you have a classroom of 20 students and you have a kindergarten teacher, we also have a paraprofessional. So I'm not afraid of our class sizes being a little higher. I think,
we have those 2 people in there.
yeah, because we have those 2 people. Did you want to add anything?
No?
No?
And then we have, it's called closing a grade. So if there's, say, second grade, we're not going to accept any more school choice students, we'll close the grade.
Right.
Do you anticipate any grades being closed or any grades closed this year?
Right now, no, but I do think we will end up closing some grades, yes.
Okay.
I think perhaps after we release the schedule, but I think between now and the start of school, I'm anticipating some increased enrollment.
Okay.
I think Phelps is going to attract
I agree.
some people.
In the preschool?
And the preschool and the free kindergarten should attract some people.
Okay.
So I do anticipate closing some elementary grades. We're
Okay.
pretty close in a couple cases already,
All right.
which is a good problem to have.
I was just going to, it came out of your mouth, but I didn't mind to say it. It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
Ladies, any questions?
Yes,
I have
sure.
a question.
Go ahead.
So with kindergarten being free, and are we accepting the school choice from other towns for kindergarten? Is that reimbursed or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, residency is a big deal, right? Residency. But the fact is, the money follows the student. So, if we have a student who's coming to school here, we take their Chapter 70. I guess my point for bringing up residency is we'd rather have them do it through school choice because then we can track them properly and communicate properly with their districts if we need to. But school choice is a very good thing for us. I know that we have higher school choice numbers than some of our neighbors. And for the most part, they're great students and they add a lot to the community. So.
Oh, go ahead, Dr. Small, I saw your hand first because my head was that way.
Do we have a goal class size for the elementary, at which point we would close the class? Like you said, our average is about 17 or 18. Some go up as high as 25.
I wouldn't go above 24.
Okay.
is 24. I don't even know if it's in our contract. We might have something in there, but I wouldn't want to go above 24.
Okay.
Yeah, 24 would feel tight.
Right. I don't want to trade off our good
That's right.
benefits for smaller student-to-teacher ratios
Absolutely.
for
Dollars.
dollars.
Understood.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially our students. We have a relatively needy population. And so the
And I'm
smaller
thinking
class
about
size
that.
makes a big difference.
And we've talked about, these kids that are now going to be coming into kindergarten who lived through COVID, who may be coming in with some unrecognized delays from early intervention being virtual and different, unavailability of resources. I just want to make sure that our students are getting what they need and our teachers are not overwhelmed.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
Okay, perfect.
Mrs. Randstrom?
If we have 69 students coming in for our school choice, how many students do we have going out?
I think you counted.
13.
13, okay.
All right.
All right, motion, sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure everyone was all set.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
All
They're
right,
saying
motion
yes.
to approve school choice.
I second that motion with the request that as we get closer to the start of the year, we just get some updates on, the numbers in, the numbers out, and the class
Yep.
sizes,
You
just
got
so
it.
that we are all on the same page.
I give you an October 1st update. That's usually that, and I can give you, but I can let you know even before we open.
Yeah,
I can
that'd be
keep you
awesome.
posted.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Okay. Motion in a second.
Yep.
All those in favor? That's a vote. Thank you. We'll go on to the 2023-2024 school calendar first reading. Dr. Cron?
Yeah, well, you have it. I know it's just the first reading, so we'll have some time to look it over. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay.
It's very similar to last year. I wouldn't say we've made any substantial cuts. I think we eliminated one of the half-days, but for the most part, it's very consistent with
Okay.
last year.
It's a highly anticipated document to hit the
Yes,
streets
it
of
is.
Rockland. So next week, or 2 weeks, when we finally finish it out, it will be out there.
So it has the kids coming back on the 30th.
Okay. For first day for grades 1 through 12.
Right.
And kindergarten is September 6th.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, thoughts?
I have a question. There's a full day, professional day, March 5th. I'm just, that doesn't seem to align with any holidays or anything. I'm just wondering.
Election. An
What is it?
election.
It must be an election day?
I believe it's
there's an
presidential
election in March?
preliminary, I think.
It's what?
The presidential preliminary,
Oh.
primary.
Okay, thank you, perfect. I figured if it was a full, random Tuesday off, there was something. I was just wondering what that was.
I'll confirm that
Okay, great.
for you.
Years
but-
ago, we voted that we wouldn't be in school to keep it safe for the kids and the parking and all of that, so that's why
Yeah.
we try to close on election days.
No,
Just so-
I totally support
Yes,
that. I
this
just
is
wasn't
confirmed.
I
aware
thought
that.
they, the others are not at the table.
Yes, perfect.
Thanks for asking. Any other thoughts? No? Okay.
I like our tentative end date of June 14th.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah,
The sooner the better, as far as I'm concerned. More Sunday.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the first reading, so we'll move on to the 2023-2024 school year proposed start and end times. Dr. Cron.
Okay. This we're going to project so the public can see as well.
So you should have, yeah, your second sheets. Okay.
We have workshopped these times with everyone. We've really worked hard to be inclusive and hear the teachers' thoughts about it and try to be respectful of parents and the fact that we had to add a third tier this year because of the Early Childhood Center. So I want to thank Jane and the principals. Noel Novio has done a tremendous amount of work on busing. But I feel good about the start times. This gets our elementary students starting school a little earlier next year. So their morning bell would be at 7:30 and their afternoon bell at 2 o'clock. The high school and middle school move ahead by about 15 minutes, start about 15 minutes later, and that will not negatively impact athletics in the afternoon and things like that. We should still be fine. And the Eston Early Childhood Center will run on almost the same schedule as our elementaries are running on now. And again, thank you to all the folks who worked so hard on this. And we were still discussing it voraciously this morning. Just trying to get it really nailed down because I know how important it is to people. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
So for the before and after care for the elementary,
Yep.
usually brackets both sides of the bell, so we just anticipate that will just be the shift for those faculty and
Yes,
paras that are
the
doing-
before and after school, we're working with both Marissa for the before and after school program and Janet Tate at the daycare to provide complete wraparound services. So the start and end times will accommodate the earlier start time for our staffs and for our families who are dealing with this. And we're also looking at for the pre-K and the preschool programs at the Eston to have the before and after school care be there for them so they do not get transported back and forth to the daycare site, that they actually stay in one building all day.
Okay.
But for parents, currently, we're providing before-school care that starts at 6:30
Right.
and goes until 6 p.m. So we're exploring starting even earlier than 6:30 to give parents whatever supports we can. But again, it's something that I hope everyone feels really good about, that we're trying to provide the community with service and parents with the freedom they need to work. We understand that. But before and after school care is something that takes a lot of time in our office, and something you'll probably be hearing more about, but it's important service.
It is, I know, there's lots of families that
Yep.
depend on it in town,
Absolutely.
so
Yes. Yeah.
we're lucky we get to do it for them.
Marissa Baldessari does a really
Outstanding.
fine job for us, organizing all of that and leading the young folks who are really the backbone of that program. So
What time would be, you think, the first bus out? So first bus picking up the furthest students?
Right, the kiddos, were 10 minutes to 7, I would say, would be the earliest bus stop time right now, and that could get later as the runs
get smoother.
develop, and are smoother. So the advantage is that for the first run for the elementary, they're coming from first student.
Right.
They're not going back out from a location, so they're picking them up on their way here. Right, so the bus can actually be stationed out at Pond Street at 7 and do the run and get to Phelps on time, as opposed to dropping off at the middle school and high school, then going back out to Pond Street and then trying to come back. In order to eliminate that problem at the middle school run, we're actually going to be running different, it's complicated, but interesting to me. We're going to be running different numbers of buses at different tiers to accommodate exactly that. So we can actually have a bus staged and ready to start the second run. So we get everyone back to school on time when we do the second Pond Street run, probably going to stage another bus there. We'll have an
Okay.
11th bus there to bring us back so we can hit that 40-minute timetable, rather
Okay.
than sending another bus out.
Great. I like that we're talking about this because I feel like this is a big question. I don't know about the rest of you, but everywhere we sort of go, we get asked this about pick up and drop off at the Phelps, how it's going to all crash into the middle school and the elementary school and the high school. So I think that us putting this out there and letting them see that you are thinking about every possibility that you can come up with to sort of master the ins and outs of busing and parent drop-off, along with mastering the times that the kids are actually in school learning,
Right.
So, yeah, I appreciate all the effort. Anyone else? Thoughts, concerns? No?
I have a question. So, with the elementary school starting almost an hour earlier, well, how has that feedback been from the staff and teachers and?
Very positive.
Okay.
Very positive. Yeah, one of the, I mean, Jane, you can answer as well, but one of the first things that I began hearing over and over was that some of our teachers were having a lot of trouble with their own lives, managing doctor's appointments and things like that in the afternoon because they were getting out so late. So this switch really helps them in that way. There's a yin and a yang to everything, so it means that our families are responsible for their kids an hour earlier too, so. But it's been pretty positive. Have you heard anything else?
No, I haven't, and also for families of the elementary parents also needing to have doctor's appointments and dentist appointments and get them a little bit of downtime and a snack before they go to dance or before they go to, their next activity. They really wanted that additional time. And then also with the research supporting a later start time for the middle school, high schoolers, this is a nice flip and accommodates that science as well.
It wasn't that long ago that this is pretty close to the times. I know when my kids went to MP, they went in at 7:40, and that was just a few years ago. So
That's right.
it's not that we're that far off from where we were.
And it'll be our goal to stay put, for families. So we don't anticipate changing this again
Okay.
for a long time.
We'll obviously be evaluating
Yeah.
the pickup drop-off at Phelps.
Right.
We're working with both our resource officers, et cetera. We're going to pilot the kid account pickup drop-off procedure in a few weeks' time there to see how it works there before we bring everyone in together, get the MP parents, the MP at Phelps parents trained, and the staff at MP trained in that this year, and just see how it works logistically. But it's a great team in place, and everyone just wants to have it as safe and as smooth as possible.
And the kids are still floating around Phelps, so it's
Yeah.
really easy.
So it doesn't matter how they get in here.
Yeah,
because
they
they're
just-
happy once they get
Yeah,
there,
they're
right?
like, well, do this, do that, and they just do it. They're
Do
so
we
happy.
anticipate that there'll be increased busing for those that are from the Millbrook area that maybe went to Eston or because MP is a little further radius in
Yes.
that? Do we think there's going to be an increase in busing?
Yep, we do.
Okay.
We do. We are going from 10 to 11, and also keep in mind, though, we're also separating, we're taking the kindergarten kids off the elementary buses. And that's going to be a big improvement. A lot of the transitional issues we had at the beginning of every year has been having those really young ones on with the older ones. In some ways, like the yin and the yang, in some ways it's really great because their older sibling or an older neighbor is with them, but they also get intimidated. And,
Right.
last year we had someone hiding under a seat. You already can happen. So I think this separation and having the kindergartners out is going to give increased capacity at the elementary level to accommodate that. We're budgeted for an 11th bus to be able to accommodate that. And that 11th bus also at the middle school, high school, is going to significantly increase capacity, set by 77 people, by 77 kiddos, is going to increase the capacity at the middle school, high school, which can also eliminate some of the angst that we have at the end of the day with so many kids packed onto a bus. So it's our most substantial, other than gas, our most substantial expense increase this year is an investment in busing.
Yes, but if we invest in busing, we'll have less traffic and everyone will
That's right.
be.
That's
a
right,
little
77 less
Safer.
cars.
Safer. We have the nice big bus loop behind Phelps Elementary,
Right.
so it can be tucked away, so.
Yeah.
Correct.
When is bus registration?
We'll be coming out in April with bus registration. We're going to do it a little bit differently this year, strongly encouraging all families to sign up by the week before school ends and charging a 2-tier system for those who register past the due date.
I wonder too, before COVID, Jefferson had they had started a really nice program of enrichment programs that they were offering. Not box, it was after school. It was things like, there was a reading club, there was a cupcake club, there was a kindness club, there was, I think, Spanish at one point. It was highly sought after, some of them were really hard to get into, and it was wonderful, and the kids loved it. And so I wonder, with Ms. Scheifele moving over and the times moving up, if it'll be an opportunity to get some of that back for the kids too.
Yes, you'll actually see in our next slide that one of the things that has increased, no, you're leading right into that for our '24 budget, is an increase in our extracurricular budget to accommodate just that we're bringing things back that were gone in the after-school realm, and, being able to pay those stipends, for those activities in the end. And we've been able to continue the box program has been running before school, but we've had very limited after-school offerings at the elementary.
And I guess one other question I have, not for an answer, but just to like take back, I know it's come up before, fifth graders with the opportunity for after school and with times changing at all, and Phelps being so physically close, I don't know if there's any opportunities for at least fifth graders to have some after-school care.
That's a great idea, actually, to walk the fifth graders
It is
over if
over.
they wanted to.
Right.
We could talk to Marissa about it. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Because I know parents, fifth grade is so hard. They feel so young in that middle school.
No, when we tried to start the before and after school care at the middle school, the interest just wasn't there.
Yeah.
So,
Parents wanted it,
yeah.
but the kids didn't want it.
The kids didn't want it,
They want to go
right.
home
They-
and have a little freedom of being home alone, and the parents,
Yeah.
it seems to be, I remember when my kids were in that group, and Miss Bond was the one trying to figure that out, even Miss Shippert. It was hard. We, as parents, want them to have something, and the kids didn't really want it, so there wasn't a...
Well, we'll talk to Marissa, because I like that idea.
It's a good
Maybe having
idea.
the fifth graders, have a staff member walk them over.
Because even between, I think, I've had two now that have gone through fifth grade, or one that's in fifth grade, and where they are in September is so different from June, and the school does such an amazing job transitioning them, but I think at the beginning at least, it's so hard to think that like the school, the bus might drop them off and they're alone for 3 hours.
Right, right. Yeah, that's a lot.
It
Yeah.
is.
Thanks. Need approval?
I was just going to say, we need to vote that, correct?
No.
No?
No.
No vote?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Any other thoughts, concerns? Nope. Okay, we'll move on then to Ms. Hackett with the FY24 budget.
It's thinking.
We need some thinking music.
Oh, well, that wasn't bad.
Yeah,
Can we go up with the other slide first?
of course.
There we go. All right, so if folks at home have their microscopes out,
It actually is, but it's fine on the screen, it's our
Yeah.
screen, the back screen.
but I wanted to show this slide. I just want to take the opportunity to show, if you look left to right, total enrollment in the Rockland Public Schools has remained pretty consistent. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bump back up so that it's back up to FY20 levels next year. But what has changed, however, is our English language learner population has grown by just about 70% in the last 4.5 years. And that's substantial. And our economically disadvantaged population has grown by almost 34%. And I point this out just as a reminder, to the public that this changes classrooms. This is a real issue for a teacher, and I try to, picture yourself a second grade teacher and you have 18 kids and 4 of them speak no English. It changes your job. It's stressful, it's difficult, it's challenging, and our teachers are doing a great job. Our English language learner department has grown, and we're doing, I think, a very, very good job there. But it is something that we're working on and trying to adapt to. So we're up to 247 students who are English language learners. It does put pressure on classrooms, and I just want to point that out. So that's why we put that slide up. And the next slide is the FY24 projected budget. And what we are looking at is a total down in the right-hand corner of $34,235,965.63. That has us currently, this is just an update, but it has us currently forecasting about $180,000 deficit heading into next year. But that is reduced substantially from what we were talking about just a few weeks ago. So Chapter 70 has come through in a pretty healthy way. We feel very, very good about that. We've been working with the town. We just went to capital planning last week and made a presentation, so they're aware of what we're doing. And but that is where we are right now. on the budget. Jane, I don't know if you wanted to add anything?
If I could just highlight in the green, I have broken out our grants from recurring to the relief grants, so we can sort of highlight where we are. Last year, we were at, for relief at almost 1.4 million. That's the last of what's called ESSER 3. Due to the hiring and spending freeze that was implemented this year, we were able to eliminate that FY23 deficit and carry $750,000 of ESSER 3 money over into the next fiscal year. So that's $750,000 under relief grants. That is the last year that we will have those funds available. By law, they need to be spent by September of '24. All right, so they have to be spent by the end of next school year, basically.
And you've been doing your due diligence to make sure that we use every dime.
Absolutely, and it's something it's hard to believe how fast time goes, but we've been talking about this budget cliff for 3 years. We've been talking about it and preparing for it. And Jane deserves tremendous amount of credit for all the work that she's put into this budgeting process and all of the work that's been done to save this grant money. If we didn't do that, we wouldn't be carrying this money forward. And I go all the way back to when we furloughed teachers and paras during COVID. That was a hard thing to do. Our folks actually made out very well during that time, but that saved us $1.4 million. And as I look down at $1.4 million, I think it wouldn't be there if we didn't do those things. So I think we've done a good job at budgeting, and Jane's done a tremendous job of staying on top of our grants and our budgeting, so we're in a good position.
It was 3 years ago today, March 13th, that we closed the school for 2 weeks. And then it
Yeah.
rolled into all of that furloughing and everything else.
Isn't that something?
It is something. I was thinking about it
3
the other
years ago
day.
already.
3 years ago. And I want to say the same that Dr. Cron is saying. Thank you to you and your team for making sure that you've done your due diligence with that ESSER money, but also with the Chapter 70, making sure everybody's ducks were in a row so that we got the money that we got, and helping to make this budget the way it is today.
I'd just like to say that Donna Capeless, before Mary Jo, and Mary Jo Lipson, right now are grant managers and are saints for the amount of,
Putting up with you? Oh, you mean?
Yes, really, for putting up with me, but really, and working with Town Hall and, back to Biz and to, Scott currently and
Right.
to Jen Constable, of just trying to find what was the most flexible and appropriate funding source to match up to be able to make this money last and have less of a cliff than other folks are experiencing. It was like every day was a different puzzle, and we just kept changing our minds because more information would become available or something new would come in. So something that we were going to pay out of ESSER then would pay out of ARPA or vice versa, and that created a lot of backroom work, for Donna and for Mary Jo, and they've really
Right.
hit it out of the park,
And
as
we're
our audit
lucky.
shows.
Right, that we have that relationship now that we have with the town hall, and I think that was growing and building, starting into COVID. So we're lucky sort of where we're sitting when we look back at 3 years ago to here we are now. It really has come a long way. Any?
Just a question in looking at the numbers. For expenses under salaries there's about a $400,000 difference between original and projected decrease. Is that breakage? Is that like?
It is not.
Okay, all right, so.
It's attrition.
Attrition, okay,
Attrition, yeah.
just
But
making sure we should have the
Yes,
appropriate staff levels
Yes,
and
it is.
everything. Yeah.
It's predominantly attrition.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thoughts, questions? Do you have anything else to add? I cut into you.
A little bit of inflation in the expenses. We are experiencing inflation like all other districts and homes. We're not immune. Our fuel costs are up 23%.
Right.
From a year ago when we had the windows open and the heat cranked and we've been
Right.
turning down the windows. So fuel and our utility bills and our transportation and an inflation factor are what's driving up our expense increase. And on the sped, we're only looking at, we do have the 20%, the 14% mandated increase in our private tuitions from the state, from the Office of Service Development, OSD. Not sure what it stands for. I apologize, I don't remember at the moment, but OSD has increased our sped private out-of-district tuitions by 14%, which translates into a $256,000 increase for us in the coming fiscal year. And that's one of the things we put forward to Town Hall, was a free cash appropriation to help us manage that.
Okay, great.
Actually, one additional follow-up, Jean. In the review of the fuel cost and the
Yes.
heating and electricity of the buildings, is there a way to break out if we're, by moving to Phelps, are we going to be saving money in that long run, or is it
I'll know a year from
anticipated?
today.
Yeah, I mean, that's, no, I get that. I just, in the future, is there a way to say, well, we
Ira
used
comes
to
running
spend?
to me
Oh, yeah.
with every utility bill
I
for the
feel
last.
like in the larger budgetary with all the general ledger accounts and everything, you do break
It's a
out by school.
$500,000
so-
line item.
Okay, yeah.
Approximately, it's approximately $500,000.
So I was just
of
curious, by not
utility
having
costs.
MP and Jefferson, are we hopefully be breaking even, if not saving?
That
money on-
and maintenance.
And maintenance.
You know, like, one of my, you know, one of my favorite pictures is the $35 pipe with $3,500 worth of clamps.
Right. duct
On
tape.
it, literally, $3,500 worth of clamps on a $35 pipe. So we are very hopeful, and we had a backup at Jefferson this past week that's human resources, it's human capital that goes into that, but it's also expense. So those are the two areas that we're really looking forward to coming down.
Benefiting
in the next,
from
you know,
in the next couple of
in the
years,
next
yeah. Okay.
year. So we'll have a much, you know, obviously I'm speculating right now, and I'm anticipating that utilities are going to continue to go up. I think we should do that. But we'll see what happens next February.
When I look at this sheet, one of the things that jumps off the page at me is that nearly 27 million of our $34 million budget is salaries. And I'm grateful for the reasonableness of our teaching staff and our union and the various groups, that we were able to settle at a reasonable number. Because that is the bulk of our budget, and they are the bulk of our budget, and they are the backbone of our organization. So I feel sort of compelled to thank our teachers and our relationship with the faculty and staff, that we were able to come to reasonable agreements, because that's not happening everywhere. And we're all paying more at the pump and all paying more at the grocery store, and we know it's hard, and they were very reasonable. So I'm grateful for that when I look at this budget.
I think you bring up a good point. As much as we have to school committee, a lot of what we're responsible for is the budget, right? That's what, where we answer back to the town of Rockland. And so we have to run it like a business. But at the same point, we're here for education, and we're here for the students of Rockland. And it's really the teachers and the students that we're here for, you know? So it becomes the two hands of the. So we are grateful also to the teachers in the town for supporting what the school is here for, and supporting us and getting us Phelps. So that we can have better bills.
So we do not need a vote on this this evening. We'll need to schedule a public hearing, but would like to wait until we get the town hall's calendar. So the longer we wait, the more accurate, you know, our figures,
numbers will be.
our numbers become. I don't anticipate any substantial adjustment, but a little bit here, a little bit there.
Okay.
We just need to give 2 weeks' notice, I think 10 days' notice from the time it's in the paper, or 7 days? 7 days from the day it's in the paper for the public hearing, so we'll just keep in communication for that, but we have to do it before May 15th,
Okay.
before the annual town meeting. The school committee needs to vote what's being voted at town meeting on May 15th.
And we usually try to do it before we meet with the finance committee. So-
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so we can move on then to Dr. Cron's superintendent report.
Thank you. I just have one thing, very exciting. Frida Leahy is working on making the Rockland Public Schools a Mass Health CAC, which stands for Certified Application Counselor. So these organizations are hospitals, community centers, other community organizations that are certified by Mass Health and the Health Connector. And if we receive this certification, we'll be able to guide our families and the community through the Mass Health Insurance application eligibility and enrollment process. We will also have immediate access to help troubleshoot when issues arise, as well as streamline access to data. So again, just one other thing that Freya Leahy and her team are working on. Freya and Melissa Humphreys will be attending an 8-hour training so that we can get this certification and offer this service to the town. So that's all I have, but I'm excited about it.
Right. Freya is an outstanding one of our many.
She is
we have here
best.
at Rockland Public Schools, so kudos to you for thinking outside the box and finding what we can have. Any thoughts?
I'll just say thank you to both of them. Working with Mass Health is incredibly challenging for patients and families, and it's huge when patients come into the hospital to be able to have our financial counselors. You know, they have a back fax line, somebody answers the phone, things happen that, the horror stories that I hear from people about calling and sitting on hold for 2 hours, and then the phone hangs up and you have to call back, and then at that time of day it's not accepting any more calls, and just prevents kids from getting what they need and families from getting what they need. So that would be an incredible resource for our families and our community, and so just a big thank you to their team for doing that work.
Yeah.
Anyone else? No? Thanks, Dr. Small. We'll move on to public service announcements. We'll start with our student rep, Ava.
The high school is having a St. Patrick's Day Spirit Day on Friday where everyone is encouraged to wear green, and then the drama club has their Addams Family Spring Musical Friday the 24th and Saturday the 25th.
And tickets are already on sale?
I think
Yes,
so, yeah,
they are.
online, and they're being sold at the door.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And welcome back, Ms. Davidson.
Thank
Miss
you.
Mama.
I took a month hiatus because I welcomed a new baby into our family, Grace, nice and healthy, and she's a month today. I can't believe how much time has flown by already. And then also on April 15th, the town is hosting a cleanup day from 9 to 11 for the rail trail. We are taking volunteers, all ages. We offer community service. We can sign the slips if you're looking for that. So once again, it's April 15th, 9 to 11, and meet at the town hall.
Thank you. And Dr. Small?
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Hennessy?
I'm always good for a calendar update, so just a reminder that Thursday, the 16th, is a half day, and just wanted to say good luck to all the students that are going to be taking MCAS test in the upcoming month or month and a half. So.
Ms. Ranstrom? Welcome.
Thank you. I feel very privileged to be part of the committee. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I will lead with a welcome to you. I look forward to serving with you, and we're excited. I'm not sure, Liz, did we find out if this is the first all-women's board in Rockland?
I still have 3 more years.
That's true. All right, so by the time...
Women's suffrage.
Right, sorry, I tasked you with that. But I do believe that this is the first all-woman board of Rockland School Committee, so kudos to all of us for sitting here. The only thing I find on the flip side of that is that we all sort of come from that same perspective of being women. I enjoyed having the man perspective here with Mr. Biggins and all of the past men that I've had the pleasure of serving with. But I do think that it is cool to sit here with all ladies. So welcome to you. I also wanted to add that I'm excited to have a retired educator without Mr. Mills here, who always sort of brought that to the table. Excited to have an educator back on the board with us. And then I was going to also welcome you. Thank you for leaving baby Grace. We appreciate you getting your stuff together to get here and even having an announcement at yes. So, and that's all I have. Anyone else? Thoughts, comments? No. Good luck to the girls tomorrow night in the playoffs. Go get them. Go be strong and represent your school well. I wanted to also, now that I'm saying it out loud, kudos to Dr. Harrison and his team and the students that are all attending and behaving and representing this town and these schools as well as you are. It is stressful and exciting and everything it can be, and you're all behaving, and we appreciate that. So thank you to that. And thanks for the families that are coming out to watch our girls. And that's all I have. I've rambled enough. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? And that's a vote. Good night.